Welcome to Conversations with Erica. I'm your host, Executive Coach Erica Madison. Today I'm joined by Kashif Ahmed, known as Cash, founder and president of American Private Wealth, and a longtime finance professor. In our conversation, Cash shares why financial planning is first and foremost a human business and the crucial role of building trusting relationships. He talks about taking risks, learning from failures, and being resilient, as well as the importance of loving what you do. Cash also emphasizes carving out time for the non-work activities you enjoy, especially once you've built a solid professional foundation. Cash and I met through a Suffolk University event. Tell us a little bit about what you're up to with your work and your teaching. I know you have a lot going on.
Thank you for having me. I always have a lot going on. So you mentioned the teaching, which I am very proud to say is my first love and will be to my dying day. I've been a professor of finance, investments, now currently wealth management since 1998. So we're like 28, 29 years. In addition to that, during the day, I have a wealth management firm that I own, American Private Wealth. In addition to that, I do a lot of volunteer work. I'm sort of an ambassador of the FBI and I just stay busy. I'll sleep when I'm dead.
I'm sure that there's a lot of variety, but give us a sense. What does a typical week look like for you?
I ended up hiring two of my former students, both military veterans from Suffolk University, from the financial planning programs. You know, when you're new in the business, this is a very serious business of financial planning and wealth management. The book stuff aside, it's very important to know what to say, what not to say. So we are really, at the end of the day, in the human business. They need to learn from somebody who's been doing this for many decades on how do you talk. Even in the two meetings we had today, it was a very different tone. It was very different language used. And I think that's very interesting for them to see. So I had that. And in between, I had my own client stuff, but thankfully my staff handled most of that.
You've talked about building a team. Tell us a little bit about what you look for as you're building your team.
Wealth management today remains very not diverse at all and very aging. The average advisor is well into their 60s and it's predominantly Caucasian men. At the end of the day, this business is about people. We're asking people to entrust us with their financial future, their family's financial future. There's money involved, there's emotions involved. So somebody who is able to, be empathetic and yet be firm, because we are in the business of providing advice that has impacts across many decades. These two individuals really stood out for me because they're former military. It's a tough business, make no mistake. The structure that I offer is you're an entrepreneur and I'm going to mentor you and teach you everything to be successful. But you still need to have that discipline and the determination and the drive. Some people have it, some don't. And I'm of the opinion that sure, you can have your work-life balance, you can have all of that, but then you should not also expect the results that come with the hard hustle. This is a very, very blessed profession where we are able to make enormous and significant impact in people's lives. This is almost a taboo subject. People don't like to talk about their personal finances. And a lot of the time that prevents them from actually going and seeking out the help that they know they need. So it's an incredibly noble profession in what we do. I firmly believe in anything, whether you want to be a boxer or a runner or anything, you have to do the hard work. You just simply cannot expect the results and the rainbow if you don't want to put up with the rain. It's just that simple.
So you're looking for people who are empathetic, you're looking for people who have drive, determination, persistence, work ethic.
If you just come out outright and say, listen, I just don't like talking to people, this is not going to work. Whether it's at my firm or any firm, you have to talk to people. This is not something that can be AI'd away. This is not something that can be done by a robot. This causes a lot of anxiety in people, and you have to be able to sit with them and hold their hand and say, it's going to be okay. We're here for you. So if you just don't have those people skills, and that's fine if you don't, right? You could be in other facets of wealth management, maybe where you're not client facing, where you're not sitting with a person. You could be crunching the numbers behind the curtain. That's okay. But for most people who aspire to be in that front role where they're like, this is my client, this is my relationship, You need to have those skills. Generally, if you don't have them, it's very difficult to acquire them.
So the people piece is extremely important in the work that you're doing. I imagine being able to build trust with people is extremely important as well.
Without trust, there's nothing, no matter the profession. First of all, people have to be able to say, well, I think this person is definitely competent. I can see the degrees on the wall. That's okay. I do get a sense that they're ethical. And yeah, the trust has to come and it has to be earned. If somebody has said, I trust you with my family's future, I've told you, here are my goals and aspirations. And I, in turn, have told you, I'll help you meet them. Well, I better. I don't want this person many decades from today sitting on their porch somewhere and they're saying, well, I thought I was going to be on a yacht in the Mediterranean and here I am nowhere near that. Well, it's all his fault. I don't want that karma because I may even be dead by then, but that karma is going to come back and affect my children.
Tell us a little bit more about how you did get into this kind of work.
I started with banking and then consulting. But when I had my first cub, I call my children my cubs. When I had the first one, I wanted to hire a financial planner. Even though I teach this, I just wanted to offload it to somebody who does this every single day. I was very sincere in that. But with each person that I met, I just got angrier and more disappointed. And I said, you know what? I'd better show them how to do this. And this is how it started. And here we are 20 years later.
How has your business evolved during that time?
I came into this profession much later than most people do. I set a very strict standard for could become a client, as well as very high standards for myself. So it wasn't, hey, if you have a pulse, we'll take you. We don't care where your money came from, we'll take you. No. We said, look, I'm to build essentially the unwealth manager. Whatever you think wealth managers, financial planners do, however they act, we're just not going to do it. There's going to be no song and dance. There's no whining and dining. If you need me, you know where to find me. I'm not going to come see you. We said, look, if you want to become a client, you have to convince me to take you, not the other way around. And from the very start, I said, if somebody is willing to take time out during the day, it cannot be evenings, to come see me, you expended time, fuel, possibly, to get to where I am. You've already demonstrated some level of seriousness. And then to this day, we say, look, if you want me to take you as a client, I have to be sufficiently convinced of several things. One, you understand, respect, and acknowledge that financial planning is a process and not a product. It's not a one-time thing. I sell you something and it solves your problems. Oh, no, not at all. Number two, you respect that this is what I do and I'm very good at it. You will actually listen to my advice. Number three, by taking you on, you're taking me away from my cubs and my existing clients. Tell me why. Why is it fair to my existing clients that now I'm taking time away from them to work with you? And so what that does is it really only truly brings the people who are very serious about it. Because why should I bother being serious about your future if you are not? And it may sound a little bit, harsh or arrogant, but it is what it is. And I'm so blessed that the clients we have are the ones who actually want to be here and they respect what we do. So in that way, nothing has changed. I still write with a fountain pen, which I've done for as long as I can remember. I'm still a line paper guy. We don't AI away anything. We're in the people business.
What was it that led you to be interested in this kind of work, going back even further?
Finance is in my blood, numbers and how things work. And I'm a people person. I'm very outgoing. I'm very social. I like to be out and about. And this particular profession allows me to combine both of those things. And at the same time, no day is the same. Every family that walks in the door, their situation is different. The people are different. Even within the same couple, the people are different. And I thrive on that because it's just exciting and it's fresh. And this is why I love it. I love it. No day is the same.
So it sounds like you have a lot of variety, and that's something that's very important to you for your career satisfaction.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell my students and people I mentor, if you don't absolutely madly love with what you do, why are you still doing it? I'm not the person who's like, Monday or celebrating hump day because it's halfway through. No, 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 no. On Friday, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait for Monday to come back.
That's awesome. As a coach, my work is focused on helping people connect with work that is going to be deeply gratifying to them. And of course, for everybody, that's different because of different personalities and goals, priorities, and so forth. Once they're in a role that's a good match for them, helping them thrive and lead with impact in those roles. You talked a lot about the importance of hard work. And when you're doing something you love, oftentimes you don't mind that you're working a lot because you are so in it. Would you talk a little bit about your experience with being, as they say, in flow?
Yeah. So today, like I mentioned, one of the newest wealth managers, this was his first day. And we had back to back meetings with people who want to become his clients, just left the office. And I said, this is awesome. I'm so energized, even though I haven't even had breakfast yet. I love this that we are being productive. Life is too short and unpredictable to just sit around. Somebody asked me once, you're involved in like a million things, and they're all different too. In the morning, I could be doing something super serious, and in the evening, I'm involved in something that's completely like the opposite. And I'm like, well, yeah, because at any point they could be laying me down in my grave, but when they do, I'm gonna say, man, it was so much fun.
So, do you make time for fun outside of work? Because I know your work is also fun for you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm very seriously into movies. For me, movies are therapy. For me, a movie is an escape for 2, 3 hours into another world. I want to just leave this behind. It's almost like you reboot. So I love movies and I love fantasy. Also, I love riding my motorcycle. There's nothing more peaceful than just being by yourself. It's just you and the wind. I love cooking too. So for me, that's very relaxing.
What would you say to somebody who's in a situation in their career where they feel stuck? They feel like maybe what they're doing was once a good fit, but now it's not. They're scared, concerned, unsure about doing something different, leaving. Maybe they feel like maybe they're going to have to take a pay cut or do something that is not desirable, but they know deep down that their situation is really not working for them. What would you
Yeah.
say to them?
It's like going to the gym and looking at a barbell on the floor and saying, I can't lift it. I'm like, you haven't even tried yet. Maybe you can. So I'm not saying just tell your boss, I'm out of here just randomly. No, but always be on the lookout and say, well, I'm in this industry and this other industry intrigues me. Maybe network with people in that industry and see how they're doing. Right. That doesn't necessarily mean you're ready to quit, but you might say, well, geez, you know what? I really like how much they enjoy doing that. And I can see myself and maybe send out some feelers and say, you never know. Have that network ready. You also know if you're an employee somewhere, it's at will on both sides. So how many people have that wonderful surprise where they walk into work and they're like, this is your last day? I don't think you should be afraid of change. I'll tell you this from somebody who has been blessed to live all around the world and experience different cultures and who actually comes from a different culture. This America, the country that I love so much, this is the place where it's actually even possible to try different things. In many cultures, you're stuck in one place because, well, I belong to this part of the country. My family's from this city. I'm going to keep looking around here. Whereas in America, part of what makes America so great and so prosperous is, okay, I'm from Massachusetts, but I got a wonderful opportunity in California. All right, I'm out. People move. In other societies, people are very hesitant to move where they're from, right? So if you have an opportunity, go for it. No, unless you've built a lifestyle that is absolutely dependent on the income that you have today, meaning you're just living on fumes because everything you make, you spend. A lot of it is choice for many people. Even if you take a small pay cut, how does that compare to the joy you may experience in the new place? or the new thing you're doing. You cannot put a price on it. You know what? If actually you get even happier and you're more content, you may actually even live longer. Try it. Don't be afraid. I shifted. I went from pure finance to finance and people. And today I will say I'm just all people.
It's important to be curious and to try things, to reach out to people in your network and be meeting people and learning about different industries, different opportunities that could be out there, and just be open.
Absolutely be open. And I think a lot of people discount networking. Nothing really rubs me the wrong way when somebody I know hasn't talked to me in 25 years, but they all of a sudden they're all over me when they need something. The whole point of networking is to nurture those contacts and genuinely, sincerely say, hey, how you doing? Maybe once a year. It's so easy to do. You can literally schedule it in your calendar. Reach out to Erica. Hey, how you doing? How's the podcast coming along? How's your coaching? So that when I actually need Erica, or even if I never need you, I may know somebody who does. Okay. And I can make that introduction. I'm now a resourceful person. And so many people are just so, in a tunnel. They get up in the morning, oatmeal, coffee black. They have their routine. They go to work and they come home. Saturday mornings is a Costco run. Sunday is this, and that's it. That's just, you're a hamster on a wheel. And God forbid if you need somebody, like, geez, I don't even know anybody. How about this? Everybody needs to know a plumber that's going to take your call and come right over. A mechanic, a CPA. You need to be a resourceful person. You don't have a network just because you expect to get something out of it. You should have a network so you can be a resourceful person, so you can make introductions for other people. Karma.
Yeah, this really resonates, Cash, because I can't tell you how many times I've been meeting with clients and they'll say to me something like, I've really neglected my network. I just haven't been in touch with many people while I've been at this organization the last 12 years. I've really let my network go. I feel awkward reaching out to people now because I am exploring different opportunities and I haven't talked to them in so long. So I help them learn how they can break it down into manageable pieces and really start engaging with their network in an effective and authentic way.
You
Good.
can network within your organization too. It doesn't have to be outside people. And again, goes back to the barbell example. You're like, I feel awkward. Well, just try it. Maybe the other person won't feel that way. You will never know until you try it.
And I bet you have a lot of examples of stories of times that you built a connection with somebody, not knowing where it may lead, and then wonderful things happened as a result.
Oh, I have so many stories. There's not enough time. You need to have this as a season just about me.
You'll come back on the show another time, Cash.
Absolutely. It's amazing how sometimes you can come full circle where people, when I first came to this country, helped me find an assignment or a job. And 20 some years later, I'm helping them because now I'm in a more influential position than they were, or I know somebody where they're located. It's a wonderful feeling. And this is what I try to instill in my cubs as well. It's not just what you know, it's also who you know.
Definitely. And you mentioned AI, and I'll say that as AI has been gaining popularity, it becomes even more important to invest in real human relationships because that's what helps us stand out from the bajillions of people just using AI to hit easy apply.
I came to America, I did my second master's, and the internet was just a thing at the time. And it was very easy to fire off a resume. I would literally take that. I'm like, I have a monthly T pass. I might as well just walk it over. And I would have so many conversations with people. They're like, oh, you could have mailed it in. I'm like, but I'm right here. Do you have 15 minutes? We can talk now. And how many times people are like, you know what? Actually, come on in. Or how about you actually print out a resume and you mail it in? How many people actually do that? It's very easy to get carpet bombed by AI. My inbox is it is unbelievable. As I always counsel people, even if you're working at NORAD and all you do is watch Russian missiles possibly coming over, you're still in the people business. That next promotion is going to be decided by somebody who is a person. I actually knew somebody who's nicest person in the world, worked at a big blue chip firm for the longest time and worked from home. This is pre-COVID. And I would always tell them, look, you got to go and meet with your colleagues, your managers. He goes, why? I mean, I exceed whatever they assign me. I'm like, listen, the office that you report to is not that far. Hop on a plane. There's sales happening all the time. Sometimes I would send him a link. Look, man, it's $100 a round trip. Just go spend a day at the office. Because you know what? The next time there's going to be cuts or reorganizations, you will be a real person, not just a name on a list somewhere. Never listen to me. This is an Ivy League graduate with tons of experience. He got laid off by email, and his colleague, who does the exact same thing with less than a quarter of the experience, but who happens to be in the office, was kept by that manager. Because you were just a thumbnail on a screen. And they're like, hey, John's got to go.
What do you see as some of the best practices that help people be effective and thrive in their lives in a holistic way?
People ask me all the time, how do you get so much done? It's very simple. I have a calendar and I say, well, hey, listen, between 2 and 3 p.m., I'm going to do emails today. Phone could blow up. It'll ring so much. I'm not going to pick it up because that's email time. It's very easy to get it. Multitasking is rubbish. It's just a myth. If you're on the phone like this and there's a sandwich in your mouth and you're typing and you're on your walking pad at work, you get your steps in, knock it off, stop it. Do one thing efficiently and really well at a time.
This reminds me of the book Deep Work by Cal Newport, which is one of my favorites. He talks about the importance of really focusing in, doing what you're saying, Cash, which is time blocking and having these dedicated chunks of time, whether it's 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, setting aside time and really just focusing on whatever the task at hand is. What are some of the other best practices?
When it comes to money, I am stone cold. There's no emotion. There's nothing. And I think it's very important to separate the emotion from money itself and also the money decisions. I think too many people get bogged down in one, either not addressing something or not talking about it, or when it comes to make a decision, either make an emotional one, which usually ends up being wrong, or worse, not making any decision. From what I've seen over the decades of doing this, people's finances are a mess in this country. For whatever reason, this society decided that talking about money is taboo, which therefore it's not taught. It's not talked about at home. How are you going to instill and teach your children to be financially and fiscally responsible if you don't even talk about it? Or if you yourself say, well, I'm a mess, but let me introduce them to people who are not, whether it's through a podcast or whatever. But what I've seen is people get very emotional, and it's usually two things. It's either greed or fear. I like to remind people that those are not strategies. None of them are going to end well for too long, right? Greed is usually where people have these mythical Joneses next door that they must keep up with, or some influencer online or some buddy at work who claims they were up 30% last year. It's just rubbish. Okay. They get burned from that, and then the fear prevents them from getting back on the horse. So the people I think who truly achieve financial independence and financial peace are the ones who are able to remove the emotion from their financial decisions and actually pay respect and honor the intersection of financial decisions. And one step further, if they know that they're not capable of such management of their emotions, then outsource it to somebody like me, who's a disinterested third party.
So taking the emotions out of the money decisions.
Critical. Absolutely critical. Ben Franklin said, even a small leak can sink a ship. People have no idea where their money goes. I run into people who've been saving in their retirement plan for decades. And when you ask them, like, well, how is it invested? Well, I don't know. They take it out of my paycheck. I'm like, how could you not even bother to know where it's going? Oh, well, I'm busy. I'm like, well, this is your money. Do you not care? Busy with what? What is more important than finding out how your money is invested, which you're going to rely on to eat and have shelter for your retirement years? But a lot of people are just like, well, I'll figure it out later. You're 42. When are you going to figure it out? Because time's clicking. Have you not heard of the time value of money and compounding? There's no rocket science in what I do. I manage your behavior. I make sure that I am the firewall between you and your worst instincts, number one. Number two, I get you to get going on this as early as possible. For my own Cubs, we had investment accounts from the minute they got a Social Security number. You can't start earlier than that. And none of their investments that we put them in are not available to everybody else. There's nothing secret. There's nothing exclusive. It's just that we started much earlier. And today, my teenage daughters have more money than the average American 401k balance when they're about to retire. It's not rocket science. And to my immigrant friends, I always tell them, one of the first things I did when I landed in this country, before I even went to my orientation, I opened an investment account. In those days, you didn't actually need a Social Security number. You could walk into a brokerage and open an account. And I said, listen, I flew across the 7 seas to come to the country that had the most advanced financial system in the history of mankind.
One of the things that's coming up for me is around people who have an entrepreneurial side, whether they realize it or not, but there's a lot of fear because of things like needing health insurance.
Mhm.
How will I provide for myself, my family, what have you, if I don't have a job with a steady paycheck with benefits provided to me by the employer? Could you say a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's amazing what burning bridges and sinking ships does. If there is no retreat, there is no other choice but to move forward. And I had a 9-month-old when I started this. And at the time, we had one car. So I had to drop my wife out of work and then borrow the car to go do my work and then pick up the baby from daycare. We were both very young and she was also an immigrant. You need to just do it. And again, to my earlier point, you could stay in a job because there's a steady paycheck and there's a 401k match and they even give you a discounted T-Pass and all that. But then you will quickly become complacent and it'll become harder and harder to walk. If you try something and you fall flat on your face, this is the country where one, it's never frowned upon to try again. And here in America, truly, people will reach out and say, oh, okay, buddy, grab my hand, let's do this again. If you're not willing to at least give it a shot here, then it's not for you. When I first started, a lot of people doubted me. The very first person that I told that I was starting a practice said, oh my God, you shouldn't do that. That's a terrible idea. I'm like, what? She goes, oh, you look like those 9/11 guys. Nobody's going to do business with you. I'm like, you watch me. Okay. So here I am, an immigrant with a non-traditional name, going into a very traditional male Caucasian business, right? I could have said, no, I don't know. I need a steady paycheck. I got a baby. I need health insurance. No, all of those things will eventually work out if you just persist. That's the key. 30 years in this country, I'm still almost used to using Fahrenheit and not centigrade. Water boils at 212. At 211, it's just hot water. It's that 1 degree that makes the difference between hot water and boiling, which creates steam, which can be used to turn that into electricity. That powers everything. It's 1 degree. People usually give up at the very last moment, right before they're on the edge of making. Persistent. You also know if you have it in you. Many, many years ago, there was a young man who talked a big game. I was supposed to mentor him. And I said, all right, tell me what's been on your mind, all your wish list, whatever you always wanted to buy. Well, I wanted, this car with this interior. I wanted a Bose system for my house. And I said, all right, let's go. Let's hop in the car. He's like, where are we going? I'm like, well, let's go get all this stuff. And he goes, what? I'm like, come on, let's go. Put it all on a credit card. He was pale. He was like, what the hell is going on? And at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, we got your Bose, you got your couches, you got all the things you wanted. Now you have no choice but to work. And it's amazing how fast you're able to run when you have to chase something. It's amazing when there is no retreat. But if you always say, hey, let's just make sure there is a bridge that I can retreat on and there is a net also under it as a second safety net, then you're never going to get far.
Oh.
This picture of Jeff Bezos. He was working at some blue chip firm and he quit. And there's a picture of him sitting in his garage with an old rickety desk with one light bulb hanging from the ceiling. And with a spray can, he wrote Amazon.com on the wall. Just one guy. Persistent. Everybody said, who's going to buy books online? I mean, yes, Amazon has evolved into everything since, right? When his wedding was happening, people were complaining, oh, it's $100 million and Venice is getting shut down and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, you can do whatever you want. Look at how many people's lives he's changed. Yesterday, I ordered an iPad for my mom, and an hour and a half later, it was on my doorstep. An hour and a half later, he can have all the billions he wants. People look at, with envy, the end result. They don't look at it all went through before. But everybody wants that end result. You have to be honest with yourself, look in the mirror and say, am I willing? As I said to the two wealth managers in my office this week, look, you want what I have? Well, that's 20 years of work. But here's how it's going to get super easy. Cancel your life for the first 5 years. Work your butt off. Work like nobody else is willing to work, because then you'll be able to live like most people are never going to get to live.
And I imagine to some degree you had to believe in your ability to figure things out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm my biggest cheerleader. I'm my biggest fan. People tell me, oh my God, you're so into yourself. I'm like, absolutely. I love myself. I don't care if anybody else does. I love myself. I can do anything that I want to do. I will never be able to or be willing to do something that people force me to. But anything that I want to do, absolutely, I'm going to be.
What have we not yet talked about before we wrap up that you would like to talk about?
There are always going to be people who are negative. There are always going to be people who are going to sow doubt in you. Stay away from them. And by the way, don't try to be a people pleaser. That's a miserable existence. I am not a people pleaser. And yet the people who actually know me love me. So if you want to go ahead and move forward, this is a beautiful country. With even somebody like me can come here in a short span of time, be the American. If you have aspirations to change, pivot, become an entrepreneur, whatever, it's all possible in this and perhaps in no other. If you want to do it, as Phil Knight and Nike said, just do it. Don't think about it. And it's okay to fail. I've failed on so many things. It's okay. That's where wisdom comes in. You learn from stuff that you failed at and you did wrong. And that's okay. Don't be ashamed.
I'm very interested in the concept of failure. For me, it's a question of what does failure mean?
I have only failed at one exam. Part of it was my teacher at the time, I detested because he detested me for very foolish reasons. I corrected him on his English once, and he just made it his life mission to make my life miserable. For that reason, I started hating the subject. So failure, for some people, it could be the end because they never recover from it. And I think for other people, it could be like, oh, whatever. I keep going back to America. Look, This is the place where you can fail, and it's not a big deal. It's only a big deal in your head. And anybody else who makes it a big deal, ignore them. They're not your friends.
Have you noticed generational differences in terms of values around things like stability and risk tolerance?
This may be very surprising because it's actually the opposite of what you may think. I think it's the newer generation that wants the stability and not wanting to take the risk. Whereas what this country has become is because so many people wandered off into the sunset and said, hey, what's on the other side of this continent? Let me go take a look, or let me build this railway. Took enormous risks. And it's because of them, this country is what it is. And I think today, a lot of people are just not willing. I think there are a lot of people are just complacent. Part of it is, I think, in this country, and I speak from the standpoint of the stock markets and so forth, there are many people who have never seen a bad time. I grew up incredibly privileged with a very powerful father who was very much in control in Kuwait. And within 2 hours, we were on the run, wanted by Saddam Hussein as a refugee, wandering the desert for weeks. That's a bad time. So for people, their perspective is very different. But as I tell my own children, are you going to be somebody, or are you just going to be a statistic? Will somebody even remember the day you die?
So, what's next for Cash? What are you looking forward to?
Help nurture this next generation of wealth managers, because again, this is an industry that still lacks a lot of diversity. It's still not something that people really seek out. Like people still, well, I can be an engineer, a doctor, et cetera, a lawyer. This is not really a clear path. So nurture and mentor this industry and this profession. But before anything is make sure that my own children grow up to be good human beings, global citizens, good people. That's the only legacy you leave. And while we've done well financially and all of that stuff, I'm the first one to tell you that a shroud doesn't have any pockets. You can't take anything with you. You can't take anything with you. The only thing you leave behind, especially when it pertains to your children, is the memories they have, not the stuff you bought them. And so I want to just make sure that I am the best father that I can be, and hopefully the best grandfather one day can.
Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I enjoyed it.
You've been listening to Conversations with Erica. I'm your host, Erica Madison. If this episode inspired you to explore career or leadership growth, visit ericamadison.com and let's get started.